Well, hi everybody. This is Dear Mama Sal, and it is Sunday. And on Sundays, we like to do what we call our Soul Sunday broadcast. That means we bring the temperature right down, just chill right out, and try and get ourselves into a really good space for the coming week. First of all, I see that Farmer is here. Hi, Farmer. Really good to see you. It's been a while. I hope all is well with you. Let me know so I can update people when I do some notes on Facebook later. All right, and hi to Nana as well here early. For those of you who might be tuning in for the first time, we do 3 broadcasts a week, 2 on a Friday normally, and 1 at lunchtime and 1 at 7 o'clock. Those are Pacific times. And then we do this one at 3:30 on a Sunday. For those of you who might be watching it on the replay, we do it on 3:30 on a Sunday. And so it's really awesome to have everybody here. And thank you for taking the time to be here and to support one another. We have had a really busy and strange week. For those of you who've ever had reason to not get much sleep. I think the last time I checked, I think I've had 3 hours, maybe 3.5 max sleep. I had to get up at some unearthly hour this morning for a showing of my house, for which I was very grateful, obviously. But I now know what mornings look like. I just basically haven't been doing mornings since I retired. It's for other people. And, suddenly out of nowhere, um, I suddenly got a wake up call, literally. And I don't know where you are. For those of you, obviously, in the Southern Hemisphere, this one won't work well for you. But I was amazed that the the leaves here in British Columbia are just turning the most beautiful colors. And so it's really, really wonderful to see. I'm hoping, yeah, I know farmers in Australia, so you guys are going, out of out of winter into spring, and we are very jealous of that. And so we look forward to seeing that as well. So hi, Isabel, and hi, Jody. Good to see you. Today, I thought what we would do is talk a little bit about gentleness. I think from talking to everybody, one of the things I've noticed more than anything else is that we're all pretty tough on ourselves. How many of you agree with me on that one? We seem to treat everybody else a lot more kindly than we treat ourselves. And so today I wanted to talk just a little bit about maybe loosening that up a little bit and just, being a little bit more gentle. It was said that whatever you do, be gentle with yourself. You don't just live in this world or your home or your skin, you also live in somebody else's eyes. It is so scary sometimes to just live from day to day and not to um, think too far ahead or too far back, just to live in the present. And, those of you who know my journey with trying to sell my house, this has definitely been a week where I have had to concentrate on that. I have literally about 10 days left on the deal that I've had pending for a couple of months now. And if that doesn't complete, then I'm back at square one. So you can imagine that's a pretty, stressful place to be. And because, winter is coming, but I keep looking at it and saying there's somebody much more clever than I am who's got this all under control. And I just have to do the best I can to hang on and just cope with what's being sent to me and do what I can. So, um, all right. So Nana's saying that she's had a tough morning this morning. Yeah, we understand that. I mean, I'm not sure why you had a tough morning. Um, But to my mind, a lot of what happens to us, we do to ourselves, through our fears or our judgments or our inability to be able to cope with certain things. And believe me, I know about those. But I must admit that it's been a really interesting week of just trusting the process, because if I don't trust the process, then I will be in panic. There's no maybe about it. So that's why I've decided I'm just going to trust the process. It was said that funny how our hearts were designed to love so fiercely, but break ever so gently. Um, thank you, Jody. Jody's just reminding me that Nyasha's mom is going in for an operation this week. And so, Jody, let's put up some thoughts and prayers after the event. But also, if Nyasha comes in, perhaps you could just remind me again so I can wish her directly. I'd appreciate that. And I saw a lovely quote where it said, "Life, deal gently with her, and love, never desert her." Yeah. You know, I'm not sure what, Nana, do you want me to repeat that for the broadcast, or are you just telling us out of information for your support team here? Okay. So Nana's saying, I felt alone this morning and not good enough. That if I had done more, I'm not sure what that's about. Um, I don't know what it is that you felt you should have done more about. But I think, Nana, first of all, we all send you a really big hug. But we all go through that, I think. I think it's human nature to go through those moments every now and then. I'm pretty certain Jody does, and I know that I do. Hi, Pat. Good to see you. And so the interesting thing is, this whole business that we're working on with emotional intelligence this year. The interesting thing, Nana, is that how long are you going to stay there, right? In the old days, you could have stayed there for the longest time. I'm hoping that with all that we've done, with working on emotional intelligence, that now you can recognize it very quickly and also reverse it. And 10 out of 10 to Rick, who took you out, um, and changed your mentality. I think that's wonderful. Hi, Beth. And Jody, just a note on that one as well. We'd like some thoughts and prayers for her, Beth's daughter, Victoria, who's having a gastric bypass on Wednesday. Yeah, that's a big thing. I hope it goes well. They don't all go well, so I really do hope that it does go well. A friend of mine had it done and it went very, very wrong. I'm not quite sure why. But the good news is that she survived eventually, but it was scary. So I think one of the things that the reason I'm mentioning that is that we forget that they don't all go well. That sometimes, now I don't know what other underlying issues she had going on before she had the bypass. And I also must add that she went down to Mexico to have it done. Um, so, maybe there's a judgment there. Um, but it was very difficult. Hi there, Britt. Good to see you. The farmer's in today, Britt. So I'm sure you'd like to say hi to him. Steve Maraboli said, she doesn't have to choose between being gentle or being fierce. Both exist in nature and both exist in her. That's okay. She'll know to nourish them both when applicable and use each unapologetically. Do you know, it was so funny because I heard this comment that came to me in the last week about the fact that that my realtor said she'd never come across anybody who um, cared so much about their tenant. And and I kept thinking, why would she say that? And then I don't know if any of you do this, but I replay sort of like almost like a movie in my mind. And when I was replaying it, I got a little bit tweaked on it. And I said, Yvonne has been with me for 20 years in the same house. She was here 2 years before I was. And I'm going, Yvonne is a lot more to me than just a tenant. And, my realtor knows that. But it all came about the fact that I didn't want to show my house on Thanksgiving because I wanted Yvonne to be able to cook Thanksgiving dinner for Papa in peace. And, I realized afterwards I would have done that for anybody that I cared about. I would have done that for you guys. I would have done it for Jody for sure. It's just like, that's who I am. And so I went, wow. But if you just give Yvonne the title of tenant, then maybe, it makes it different. I don't think so. And so then I got to thinking, and I don't know about the rest of you, I got to thinking about, I'm pretty solid on who I am. And I realized that I chose not to apologize for it. I chose not to get upset about it. I just went, you know who I am. Therefore, it would probably not surprise you that I would make such a decision. But I do know that the reason behind it was that they had a really hot prospective buyer that was only available that day. Well, you see, if I really do believe in the process, if I really do believe that everything is unfolding as it should, I don't have to worry. All right? The right thing will happen. And it's way out of my control. Anna Doe said, I try to be gentle, but there's nothing gentle about the feelings that she invokes in me. She's pure flame, and I like her wild hair. How many of you, if you've ever been in love, you know that, there's nothing very gentle in some ways about, when you fall in love, right? It's a roller coaster, second to none. And I was in such a strange place. I actually clicked on something on Netflix this week, and I was actually I started it last night, and I ended up on with a Turkish love story, which thank you, Vonnie. With a Turkish love story which had subtitles, which I thought would send me. Bonnie, I'll have it now. Thank you. Bye bye, Nana. So I thought that would send me to sleep because I'd never be able to concentrate on the subtitles. Well, unfortunately, it was just like Dr. Zhivago. And so you know that I didn't get very much sleep at all. Thank you so much. It's thick.
Because it's cold out.
Okay. Well, it'll cool down. Yeah. I mean, warm up. Whatever. Hey, Vonnie, I owe you money.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do, from last week. For the
Yes.
just remind me when you come back. So anyway, but I realized who is Yvonne? Yvonne is my tenant and my best buddy from downstairs. She's been with me for 20 years, Farmer. I bought her with the house, if you like. And she just bought me health food. But it's still it's still too solid to drink. So Jan Arden, the singer, said, words are big. They define who we are. They are permanent. I don't think most people realize that. What you say is who you are. So I try to be gentle on social media. I try to lift others up when you can, even if you don't agree with what it is they have to say. Don't always turn their words into weapons when you can't, when you can just as easily make them doves. I think as we go into, we get to vote tomorrow. It's our Canadian election day. And, there's been some pretty horrific stuff going on, even in Canada, but certainly not as dramatic as that's going on in the States. And so I was wondering how many of you would join me in having a week of trying not to overreact to anything we see on social media and really work this week on having the grace to just deal with it politely. And people are entitled, to their opinion, even if we don't agree with it. And it was said, be like an elephant, my friend, with a strong character and a gentle soul. How about that? Strong character and a gentle soul. So stand up for what you believe, that's fine, but you don't have to be nasty about it. And the more we work on our emotional intelligence, the more that makes sense. The more you realize that sometimes it is just a lot kinder to not reply. And when you don't have to always win, when it's a case of, hey, they're entitled to that opinion, I don't have to agree with it. And I don't have to sit here and fight for why I think they're wrong. I just need to say, hey, thank you for your opinion. That's interesting. Or, that's interesting input. I'll think about that. There is no need to be rude. That's right, Britt. And Kathy Burnham Martin said, only kind people are truly tolerant. Only gentle people are truly strong. That's nice, right? And Tracy Flaherty said, be gentle with yourself as you share compassionate love to all. And it was said that we miss the old times where nature was neater, where people were gentler, where fruits were tastier, words more trustable, hearts more real, and where people's looks were more meaningful. How many of you agree with that? You miss the days before social media. I think if anybody had told me 20 years ago that in 20 years you will have to be really careful driving a car because some idiot is bound to come off the sidewalk, looking at their smartphone instead of looking at the traffic. And I'd be going, what's a smartphone? And why do I care? But it is, how many of you have, noticed that? I saw a lovely quote today when I was reading something, and it said that it was quite a well-known person. I can't remember who it was. And she said, I went into a Starbucks and there was a man sitting there, no cell phone, no computer, no devices, and he was drinking a coffee and just sitting and looking at the people. And he was the only one. Everybody else had their head in a device. And I thought that's, maybe we should do that this week as well. All right, as you go about your week, check how many people are not looking at a device. How many people are present? And I think it will surprise you. And Tracy O'Flaherty also said, in the newness of the day, be gentle with your thoughts. And it was said that the love of your life is in the queue at the ATM, in front of the bakery, in the cleanliness of the apartment. Be gentle because your true love will be deep down looking for me. That's cute. You know, you aren't worthless. You're beautiful. And your tiny heart deserves to be touched in more ways and more gentle ways. So, as we think about it all, check in with yourself this week and see how much you're beating up on yourself. And I thought for a second, hi Jamie, good to see you. And Farmer's in, Jamie, or he was a second ago. And I thought we might take a second if I can find the full quote. Just hold on one second. And for those of you who remember the song Child of the Universe, what was said was, be gentle with yourself. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. And in the noisy confusion of life, keep peace with your soul. And you know, I think what happens to us is we get so bent out of shape by everybody else's stuff that we forget to be at peace with ourselves. And I encourage you to do that. How many of you have had a difficult week this week? Anybody? Because it has been said that the reason that we have the difficult weeks is to teach us some lesson. We might not understand what the lesson is. And all of it challenging. You know, for some reason, when they showed my house this morning, they turned off my fireplace. I have a gas fireplace. And now it won't turn back on again. How many of you are going, why did they turn it off? Who knows? Why won't it start again? Who knows? But for some reason, it's not working. So do I have choices? Hi, Kimmy. Yeah, I have choices. I can take it apart and see if I can. I've got a feeling maybe the pilot light is gone out. But you know, I can take it apart and try and relight the pilot light. And then, you know, or I can try and get somebody in tomorrow to have a look at it. But you know, it's like these things happen, right? Only the weak are cruel. Gentleness can only be expected from the strong. So if any of you have managed to be gentle with people as opposed to attack people when they attack you, if you've managed to control yourself enough that you can be gentle, then understand that you have gained a level of emotional intelligence. Gentleness, self-sacrifice, and generosity are the exclusive possession of no one race or religion. And that was said by Mahatma Gandhi. And if you think of all the trouble that's going on in Turkey at the moment, and with the Kurds and everything else, it's just like, when will we just learn to cohabit? When will we let go of the generations of hate and just be gentle with each other? And Heather O'Hara said, I do everything with gentleness, with kindness, and with reverence. That's how grace moves. I would love to be able to say that before I leave this earth. I must say, I would love to be able to say that I am able to stay gentle regardless of what is hitting at me. Britt, I just want to tell you that you are making a judgment call and calling people idiots, and that's why the internet, YouTube has not let your message through. I'm going to just ask you just to be careful not to make judgments because they're very, very picky. That's why I like being here. All right. They don't allow people to insult other people or call them names or whatever. So just don't take it personally, but just understand that's why they did it. And I know that you probably didn't even think calling somebody an idiot was necessarily a bad thing. Because, you're probably going, so many of them are. So let's be gentle and be kind. Growth is measured by the gentleness and awareness with which we can again pick ourselves up. The openness with which we take the next unknown step into the remarkable mystery of being. You see, being gentle person means that though you have the power and the potential to be devastating through your attitude and your actions, you control them so that you have a calming and soothing effect on others. Hi, Isabel. Good to see you as well. Tell me something. How many of you feel that you are able to have a calming effect on people? While I think about it, Beth, I don't know if you had a chance to see the Friday lunchtime broadcast. Hi, Kerry. But, I put something in there that I hoped would help you see what was going on in your life. Nana isn't here at the moment, Kimmy. She had to go, just so that you know. And how about this one? Let your gentleness be evident to all. Isn't that nice? Let your gentleness be evident to all. How many of you going, well, it would be if you catch me on the right day? Hi there, Kerry. And so I'm glad that you popped in. It's kind of you to be here. And I'm certain you're pleased to see Farmer. It's been a while. And if somebody said that I am gentle because I love others. Okay, bye-bye, Britt. Yes, I hope you have a pleasant chit-chat with your lady love. I am gentle because I love others. How many of you know that when you feel in love, you are more gentle with people? And so the whole trick is to be gentle with everybody if you can. And Monty Roberts said, the greatest strength a man can achieve is gentleness. And that would be man or woman. I can tell you that I've spent so much of my life being so smart and so clever and being able to cut people down at the knees, with a couple of words. And, to actually try not to do that anymore is really a work in progress. And, what I'm noticing now is that the more I work on that, the more I get surprised and a little bit concerned when I'm with people that actually um, do what I used to do. And I can hear it now and I can see it now for what it is and go, wow. And I used to do that so much. I guess I probably still do it every now and then when I lose control. How many of you know that feeling where you're going, I don't know what happened to me right then, but really what I just said wasn't very gentle or kind. And that well-known person, anonymous, said, be gentle with people today. You don't know somebody's inside struggles. Instead of being the last straw, you can be their first sign of hope. And I don't think in a way that there is a better feeling than when you're able to be that beacon of light for somebody when they think, the tunnel is never going to end. And that they can see a light and it's not the oncoming train, that they actually can see that maybe there is a way out of this that they didn't see before. And Anonymous also said, clothe yourself with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. And Kerry is saying, I'm working on remaining cool under pressure, but sometimes I'm meaner than I intend to be. And I apologize for my rudeness. I am pretty sure you're not alone on that one, Kerry. You see, when you can be honest and talk about that stuff, then you are well on your way. When you can actually say, I'm not a perfect person. I do lose my temper. I'm not a perfect person, and I'm working at getting better. When I say I'm not a perfect person, we are who we are. And I think as long as we continue to strive to get better, we're doing okay. And I used to keep score. I don't know about the rest of you. I'd go, how many people did I mess with today? And see if I could sort of limit the number that I got upset with. Lao Tzu said, I have 3 precious things which I hold fast and prize. The first is gentleness, the second, frugality, the third, humility, which keeps me from putting myself before others. Be gentle, and you can be bold. Be frugal, and be liberal. Avoid putting yourself before others, and you can become a leader among men or women. With all women, gentleness is the most persuasive and powerful argument. I think that's very true. Very true. I think in all people, I don't care if it's men or women, that, when we can just swallow our ego and our pride and our need to be right and just listen for a while and be a lot more gentle and go, well, I'm really sorry that you feel that way. And realize we don't have to take it on. We can just be sorry that they feel that way. Doesn't necessarily mean that even if they say that we did, it doesn't mean that we caused it. It's going to drive me insane. Okay. So, but how many of you fall into that trap when people attack you and go, well, you did this, and you go, I'm sorry you feel that way. I had somebody do that to me not so long ago. You make me feel, and I actually waited until they finished blaming me for whatever it was they were feeling. And I said, I didn't make you feel that. You chose to feel that from the way that you interpreted what I said. I just want you to know that I did not say what I said with a wish to attack you. But you did hear it that way, and for that I am really sorry. It was not my intent. Well, da, 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 and I go, squeaky wheel. As I said, I am sorry that you took it that way. It was not my intent. And Richard Paul Evans said, sometimes it's not strength but gentleness that cracks the hardest shells. I spent a lot of time in my life training people on leadership, and one of the things I always talk about are the four different sort of types of personalities that you will, the four main ones that you will come across, and one of them is pretty dramatic. They talk a lot, and they normally are very good about talking with their hands as well as their voice, and then they like visuals and never, very rarely take notes on anything because they live in the day. And it was really interesting because what I found was that when people could understand that these very verbal people that really looked like they were really tough, most of them were, from my experience, trained extroverts, not naturally extroverted. They found out that if you came out talking, very few people got too close to you. I wonder if any of you relate to that. If you just came out and you were pretty tough and people just didn't want to mess with you so much. And I said, if you really want to find out the character of this group of people, try giving them a hug and see what happens. And it was amazing how many people looked at me and said, wow, how did you know? I said, guess how I know? Ah, that's interesting. Carrie's saying, my mom was in a terrible mood earlier and said, sorry. She was like, I'm not mad at you, just mad. And I calmed her down. Yes, I think that's a really good thing that she can verbalize that she's not mad at you. She's just having a mad day, a venting day. And what most of us need is just somebody to listen while we vent. By the way, we recommend for no more than 10 minutes. But we don't, it's amazing how many people think that they need to fix it. They don't need to fix it. People just need to get that anger out of them. And Beth saying, I got yelled at by a customer because she had to wait in line and she was late for church. I told her I was sorry and she had to wait. Sorry that she had to wait and have a blessed day. And then she gave me a dirty look. Yes, you see, Beth, you're only responsible for your behavior. And isn't it interesting that that was a Christian, I presume? You know, um, being late for church, was that your fault? Apparently, in her book, it was. Interesting, isn't it? And Kerry's saying about her mom being in a bad mood place. She said, I never took her anger personally. She was having a rough day. Yeah. And a lot of us have pretty rough days. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Wow. I'm going to repeat that one. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. All right, and Farmer's saying there are lots of upset people where he's living at the moment. They're dealing with droughts, bad weather, no drinking water, fires. Yeah, that is pretty bad, isn't it? And I cannot imagine how scary that must be as well, Farmer. If you're living in a part of the world that is overheating, and you obviously are, that it must be really scary, because not only is it about it's scary today, but what is this going to be like a year from now? I thought it was going to be generations later that this happened. I didn't realize it's going to happen now. And I guess, and Farmer's saying, and what does the government do? It built $1 million racetrack. Yeah. What would you have had them do? How could they have spent that money more wisely? Because one of the things that is necessary in situations like this is it takes the community and the populace to actually let the government know they don't appreciate that. It was interesting. I don't know if any of you saw it, but I put it up on Facebook about somewhere in Australia. They are actually putting nets on the big drainage tunnels that they have, where sluices where the water comes through. And they are catching so much of the plastic before it ever gets near the ocean. And I thought that was so exciting to see that people are actually doing that. And, somebody who saw it wrote to me and said, well, it wouldn't work in my country because nobody would empty them. And, I looked for quite a while to try and find out how long did it take for those nets to get as full as they were. Was it a week, a month, a year? Because I didn't get a sense. I just found that it was so clever that all the drainage in this particular town was going through these nets, and all this plastic was being caught up. And I thought that was absolutely awesome. And I'm going, wow, I hope that's the beginning of a trend. And Farmer, after talking about the racetrack thing, said, or they send drought relief money to places that don't need it. And those who actually do need it don't get it. Yeah, that's pretty sad. Niasha, I'm glad you're here. We wanted to give you thoughts and prayers for your mom's operation this week. I think it's on Tuesday. But also, Niasha, we wanted to send you a hug because I know this must be difficult for you as well. And so, we send our thoughts and prayers to you and the family and hope that all goes well. And I thank you for popping in so we could tell you personally. Yeah. And I definitely, with a bit of help from Jody, will put up some thoughts and prayers probably on Monday night for you. What time is it where you are now, Niasha? I want to see what the time difference is. No, we're happy to do that for you, Niasha. I'm just trying to find out if you're a couple of hours ahead of us or more, just so I get a sort of sense. If you tell me what time it is where you are, that'll tell me what I need to know. It's 9:15. Yeah, I know, Farmer, that's a whole different story. You're in the other part of the world. Wow, that's interesting, Nyasha. Nyasha's saying, actually, I'm a lot calmer than before being a member of this broadcast. Yes, it's 7:15. So you're 3 hours ahead. Okay, that's what I wanted to find out. So do you know what time your mom's having the operation? But we wish her well, and you too. Is she having it in Tobago, or is she being flown elsewhere to have the operation? You think that the emotional intelligence is beginning to sink in. You know something? I think quite a few of us would agree with you, right? It's amazing when you can start feeling that, wait a minute, this is beginning to work. And this is Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, who I quote quite often about the cycle of grieving, said the most beautiful people we have known the most beautiful people we have known defeat, they've known suffering, and they've known struggle. They've known loss, and they have found their way out of these depths. The persons who have an appreciation, a sensitivity, and an understanding of life that fills them with compassion, gentleness, and a deep, loving concern. Beautiful people do not just happen. And Beth is saying, working in retail, I see a lot of different personalities, some not so good. It's hard to sometimes show grace and understanding. You bet it is. But if anybody can do it, it's probably you, Beth, or Jody. Niasha said she's not sure what time the operation is, but she has to do it inpatient. She's going in tomorrow at 9 a.m. So that's on Monday she's going in and has the operation on Tuesday. Is that correct? You know, the thing about working in retail is to never let go of the fact you have no idea what happened to the people before they actually came into your store. You don't know if they crashed the car. You don't know if they just got fired. You just don't know. And so some people, even though they are normally really nice people, can have their whole world, tipped upside down by some stupid thing. And then, unfortunately, those of you in retail get the brunt of that. And so I always admire anybody who can do that and still stay polite. Awaken the gentleness within you. It's nice, isn't it? Awaken the gentleness within you. In what you say and what you think and what you do, that's called integrity. Or actually, it's congruent. If you are the same gentle person in what you say, but also what you think, and then what you do, then you've got your life pretty much together. When gratitude replaces judgment, peace spreads throughout your body. Gentleness embraces your soul, and wisdom fills the mind. And I think a couple of you have found that, right? That when you've let go of some of the judgment, your life changed dramatically. And yes, just saying, I'm glad I have you all to turn to. Before Mama Sal, I was a nervous wreck. And now all I could think about was coming into the broadcast tonight. Though thinking about her, I don't want to mention it. You know, it's okay to be scared, Nyasha. It's okay, to be just a little concerned about it. So Nyasha's saying she worries a lot, so staying all to myself keeps her calm. Yes, so the more calm you are, the more, yeah, don't fan the flames on that one. That's very good. That's very wise. All right. And it's the same thing as I was saying, Nyasha, that I could be panicking really big time at the moment about the deal that's on my house at the moment. In the next 10 days, it's either going to fall apart or it's going to be just fine. And I just need to know that this is all going the way that it should, even if I don't see it right now. And that 5 years from now, I'll be able to look back and it'll make more sense. Gentleness is a way of life. I'm working on it. How about you guys? And so, as we go through life this week, as we take control of our life, and I think it's a work in progress. Yes, absolutely. I was looking at my resting heart rate, and one of the things that I have really noticed is that I have managed to get control of my resting heart rate. Even with all this stress going on in my life at the moment, my resting heart rate is still in the low 60s. And, that for somebody of my age is doing pretty well. Nyasha's asking, did you purchase the house? No, I haven't purchased anything because first I need to sell this one. That's what the hiccup is. And it's very possible that the deal that I had on this one is about to fall through, but we will see. So how many of you feel that you have changed a little bit? All right, that you are learning to be a little bit more compassionate, a little more gentle with everybody than you were. Beth is saying one customer came in today crying because a daughter passed away 4 weeks ago. My first thought was, I need to run away. I don't know why. I struggled this week to not want to feel anything, to stay numb. Wow, Beth. Yeah, overload does that to you, am I right? My sense of you is that when start uh, when you start getting caught up in that hamster wheel, Beth, you know that you're going too fast. You know that your body doesn't want to support that and you're overloaded. And then you go numb because you don't know how to stop the hamster wheel. Yeah, overload. Yeah. I know that feeling. I want to tell you that only you can control it, right? Nobody else can. And the difficulty is with you is that that you have always been such a doer that you don't know how to just stop for a while and not do as much. Okay, enjoy feeding the dog, farmer. One more thing could make it worse, I think. Yeah, I think you know that, right? One more thing. I had something, Beth? I had a moment of that this week where I started to feel out of control. And it really took a lot of self-care to get myself back under control again. And you know, I knew what I needed to do. It just was very difficult to do it. You're in survival mode. Yes, that's why you're numb. All right. Did I ever draw that for you, Beth? It's a very interesting